Okay. Okay. Now I gotta put in the water system. Well, I'm not even done putting in the cells yet. I'm at 490. Death row right here. For the criminally insane, it's right here. Minimum security. Well, you can see where the deployment is. Criminally insane. Minimum security. Medium security. Maximum security. And Supermax. The prison's closed. It's not even close to ready to be accept for inmates yet. I've got like 38 snipers, so if there's no escaping this prison. You try to escape, you're gonna I leave it on free fire, so you try to escape, you're gonna get shot. And there's a big wall all around, plus road barriers on both sides. Oh, this. Plus road barriers on both sides. So any lockdown, they pop up. Plus, you won't even make it to the road barrier. Hey, Taco. I'm good. How are you? Hey, Reckless. I've built a Supermax prison. It's not finished yet. As you can see, it needs the electricity and water. Death Row still needs its church, and so they can pray before they get fried. It's got a power system for of its own. But it'll need the probation because probation not well. They need to get down to really low. It'll need a lawyer for its own special self. Give him a luxury cell. God, check this out. Okay, where's lockdown? Lockdown. I click all sectors. Pops up. Nothing in, nothing out. That's how thick this wall is. Electric chair. Just put it over here. That's strange. I guess I'll just have to put it right there. Needs a door. Quick build. Need we don't need to be that big, a canteen that big. So we'll make a kitchen and canteen a lot smaller because I guess it's that big's gonna be okay because it's not a very big place. One thing I know is how to build, sadly, is how to build prisons. Hooking up the water to all these is gonna take forever. Let's go back to objects. Definitely need a morgue. Okay, now kitchen. You don't want to mix inmates together because they'll riot and kill each other, and then you'll be in big trouble. Supermax You don't want them to see daylight at all, not even in the yards. Okay, I'm up to 500 cells. Oh yeah, one other thing, you're gonna want uh, sprinklers to keep fires from spreading. I learned that the hard way. If you're still here, Taco Cat, do you want to see what the wreckage? Well, if I load it up from the cloud, it won't be a wreckage, but you'll still see the bodies from the riot. Oh hell. I'll just save this prison and go back to working on the other one. Warning. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn off Fog of War. But as you can see, what I need to do is just make them do it again, is make a giant morgue. Thought I was close. Closed. People walking around the dead bodies, that's funny. And like I put before, I need a giant morgue. Okay. I'm gonna be working on this prison all day long. This is the best one I've made, and I started on it August 17th of 2020. I'll get it all cleaned up eventually. It's gonna take a long time. Let's demolish this wall. These walls. Make this entire part a morgue. What I want to do is just rebuild it, rebuild, and make it just almost exactly like this. I wish I could just like somehow empty it or copy the structure and move it to a new um, I don't want any coming in right now. Somehow I could just get rid of all the bodies at once. I guess I just have to draw it and start over again. Because I don't want this fog war on there. But maybe I can clean up the dead. Let's see online.
Employ these doors. But of course, we are going to up our bank loan because, gentlemen, we are back in Prison Architect and we are cleaning up after a vicious riot rocketed through our prison for seemingly very little reason at all, and many of our guards are still in situations where they're dealing with prisoners. Yeah, it's not good. Even one of the riot police has died. Oh, it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Oh my goodness. Terrible, terrible, terrible. 116 hours in solitary. You were a legend, my friend. But you're now dead. You are now dead. Not good. Oh, great. Let's have a look at our prison grading. Punishment 1, reform 0, security -4, health -5, 19 escaped prisoners, 46 deaths in custody, and a prison value of -1,740,000. Truly a figure to not be proud of. Great. Great, great, great. I'm not happy with that. I'm a bit disappointed that we did have such serious riots. I wasn't really... Well, nobody really wants riots like that, do they? I mean, now we're going to have to spend an absolute fortune getting more guards. I think we're going to need to get at least... well, a substantial amount of guards to make up for the number we lost. Plus, we're going to need to have a different sort of mechanism to dealing with this in the future.
One of these is the treatment for drug addictions. If we look here, we can do a session, so it's $200 per session, and we can treat... We use the doctor in the infirmary and a medical bed to treat drug addiction. If your prisoners are affected by drug addictions, this class here will help treat that. But, as you can see, there's only enough room for as many medical beds. So if we start here, and we scroll up to the top.
Okay, I think I'm gonna need a
pharmaceutical treatment of drugs. Here it is.
Morgue.
So it's 1 hour.
And that's putting it nicely.
And let's see. Well, here's our person. This is the same person that tried to parole, and well, considering he's back in the prison, that means he was denied parole and he's angry. So yeah, that's not good. He wants to be let out. But right now, each parole can only parole one person at a time. That's why I'm trying to show paroles. It's one person at a time. One person is sitting here being evaluated, and as you can see here, well, it's just one person. Well, right now we have one bed here, so that we only have one spot open. If we go to objects and put in more medical beds, so let's just put, I like to leave a little bit of room between them, I mean, medical beds, they're a little pricey, but they can be worth it. There we go. So that's 8. And so when we said before we had 1, now we have 8. But look what happens to pharmaceutical treatment of drug addiction. Actually, I think we have to refresh it. So I'm going to stop that program. We're going to start it again. And see, there we go. We have a lot more seats available for this course. So now for the $200, instead of treating 1 person, we can treat 8 people. So that's a much more efficient use of our time. Now, looking, that was $500 per bed, and that was 8 beds. That's kind of expensive. So we're going to want to use a grant. And there is a couple grants associated with health and well-being. This one here, well, associated with health and well-being, such as health and well-being. So we're going to do this grant here, and we need to hire at least 2 doctors. We already got the 1 doctor. We already researched. We already have our infirmary. They call it a medical ward. So we just get another doctor. And there we go. We just got $20,000 for doing that. And there we go. Now we have our 2 doctors. Now, you can actually move doctors around in your prison. So you can left-click on a doctor and right-click him to go somewhere. And he or she will go over to that area. And if they see any people that are injured, they'll try and heal them. So looking here, it's work time, and that's when these classes are offered during work time. That's why it's so important to have work time. We have our 1 prisoner who just finished up some treatment for the therapy. Now be warned, the infirmary has a couple risks associated with it. The irony of the infirmary is that it's one of the best ways to eliminate drug addictions, but it's the easiest source of drugs. So many different kinds of drugs can be found in the infirmary, and simply having prisoners be able to walk into the infirmary, and clean up stuff, and then walk away. I mean, that prisoner they need drugs. They are a person who knows that we want drugs. So we're going to search this prisoner, because they just was in the infirmary, and let's see if he found any drugs. Yep, he found some drugs. That is not good. So now this infirmary is a source of drugs for our prison. So how can we stop that? Well, fortunately, we had deployment. We researched deployment earlier. We can actually say staff only to this infirmary. We're going to assign the infirmary to staff only. Now, what does staff only mean? Well, it means only staff are allowed in that area. But that doesn't mean the services of the infirmary are only going to be used for staff. What it means is this building, only people who are staff are allowed into this building. Staff only is really good for things that you don't want people to get into. So right here, this is where we have our power. And this is where prisoners come into the prison. So this is where they're not supposed to be. And chief office, warden office, foreman office, staff room, all these areas that they're not allowed in. And there's different security levels. So we can say, oh, only minimum security are allowed in here. Or shared is what it is normally. And anyone of any security level is allowed in here. One last thing to talk about in this episode before we wrap it up, and that is the morgue. Going to rooms here, we have a new room available because we did the research for the infirmary. We also have the morgue. So we're going to need to build a building for the morgue. I'm just going to stick it out here because I'm not really using that space right now. And I'm also going to show you how to add on a building to a pre-existing building. So let's say I wanted to add something here. I can do this. Some people mess it up. So right now, I created this new building, and I kind of committed to it. And if I wanted to extend this building out a little bit more, I could do that, but I don't want to do that right now. Anyway, our workers are going to go and put in the basin. But this new building also is going to require an entrance, just to have it built. So if I want to put the entrance here going to bring the dead bodies to the warden's office, I could do that. I don't think that's a very sanitary thing to do, so I won't make it like that. But let's put a staff door right here. So this is where the morgue is going to be. So this is where the dead prisoners are going to be. Dead prisoners and workers are going to be brought. And then, here we go. If I want to take these 3 small rooms here and make one big room,
Okay,
I could just demolish the walls. Demolish the walls and allow this to be one big room.
I gotta write down some stuff.
So that's kind of how you add a building on to another building.